The United States, no change as of yet. Gregg Berhalter still in charge, so the pressure continues to mount. As three of the country's largest supporters groups, American Outlaws, Barra 76, and Samers Supporters Clubs, have come together in calling for Gregg Berhalter's departure from the American Outlaw statement. Quote, there needs to be accountability and a plan to move forward for the U.S. men's national team. It's time to make a change in the head coaching position. Herc, the fans are calling for it. Not just the fans, but a very organized section of the fans in the American Outlaws, a group that we've done a lot of content with over the years. What do you think of that?
They're not happy. Shout out to Barra 76 for actually naming the manager, naming Gregg Berhalter. Listen, this is what we've seen recently. The fan base calling for Gregg Berhalter, calling for action on Gregg Berhalter, the fan base calling for a boycott of sponsors, the fan base angry at Matt Crocker, TJ Batson. You mentioned that they were yelling to fire Gregg in Kansas City. For the longest time, there seems to be this sentiment that soccer fans in America and the United States aren't savvy enough. They'll still consume. There's a different generation coming through. A generation that some of those are dual nationals, second, third generation, who have consumed this game differently, in different ways, and demand, or they're a fan of the Premier League, they're a fan of Liga MX, or they're a fan of MLS, but they demand accountability. They demand action. They don't want to spend the enormous amounts it takes to follow a game today unless you're going to respect their interest. And what their interest is seeing a more competitive U.S. men's national team. It's one thing if they see that the material at hand can't compete, but if they think they can't compete, and if they think that that material can be better with a different coach, they want to see action. So this is the only way that they're going to see change, and something tells me change is on the horizon.
Should the Federation, Casey, listen to the fans?
I think the fans always have a voice, there's no question, but you know, the powers that be get paid to do their job, and their job can't be solely influenced by what somebody says because of a statement on social media. So, and also if you want more money for that next coach, you probably want to support the sponsors. You probably don't want to boycott them. I'm just saying that might be a short-sighted view. But but for the most part, yes, fans are a huge part of any club, anything like that. But that's why people have salaries in other positions, because that's their job, and they need to make a decision. And it sounds like they're going to be making that decision next week on one way or the other. And, you know, will they make people happy? Will they not make people happy? We're going to have to wait and see.
What kind of voice, Allie, do you think fans should have in a process like this?
I mean,
especially like the official supporters groups, you know?
I mean, we are considered fans and supporters too, right? Like, I feel like it's not our decision, and I've never been a coach, and I don't know if I ever want to, because nothing's promised, and it's a business, and this is what you have to do. This is a part of it, that if you don't provide results, then they have to figure out somebody who can step in and actually get the job done. I think that now it's going to be negative no matter what happens, because the fans are unhappy. So if he stays, then they're going to get negative comments consistently. And now it's going to be a U.S. soccer problem. And a fan problem, and a player problem, and the coaching staff problem. So I feel like either way, it's still now going to be very negative. So there has to be a change no matter what, because now I feel like it's a bit tainted.
We've seen examples where coaches and players have kind of turned fans, teammates, coaches'
Do you have one that was as toxic as this? Can you give me an example that was as toxic as this?
Granit Xhaka at Arsenal did an unbelievable job to be able to turn the fans around in one season. But coaching is tough, because I've been in situations where there's been protests, you know, and where fans have done things to try to get managers fired, and it is really hard when it gets to a level.
Does it bother the players? Because this is, you know, this is the American Outlaws.
It ain't going to help the players.
This is the supporters groups. You know, these are the people that organize in the stadiums, that do the chants, that do the banners, that do the night before. If they disengage because they're not getting what they want.
Not only disengage, but engage in a negative way. So that has
booing the team,
or you know, bannered protests and marches and tear gas. And, you know, look, we've seen it all in the countries that we played in. So, I mean, and I know we don't condone,
no, obviously not.
things like that. But there is a point where, yes, it becomes a massive distraction, and it is very difficult to turn it around.
You mentioned a report. There was a report from Fox Sports today that U.S. Soccer will announce their decision on Gregg Berhalter at some point next week. What did you make of that report? Because to me, that suggests that the decision has been made. We're just not announcing it yet. And if there's a decision that's been made, I think we all know what that decision is. I can't imagine why you would leak that out to Fox Sports if you were going to keep him, is what I'm saying.
Listen,
right?
this is what the Federation does. They leak out certain things to certain people in the press.
Of course, this is how everything works. Let's not take shots. Yeah, that's how
it's the truth. Their
works.
bullet points get to certain people in the industry, and that's how they want to get out.
But this idea that they're going to announce something next week, I mean, it would be shocking if then next week they said, nope, we're keeping him.
Listen,
I mean,
I've been around you. We were both hired over 7 years ago, same date. Gosh, man. I know the way your conspiracy theorist.
Come on.
For sure, 100%. You want it to be a conspiracy.
But I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think every once in a while, Seb's a very intelligent man.
It's not paranoia if they're really out to get you.
But every once in a while, he's onto something, and this is eerily similar to.
Oh, don't give him credit. Oh.
No, hold on. Vlatko Andonovski.
Yeah.
The worst result in a World Cup in the women's modern history. And what happened?
Took about a week and a half.
Took about a week and a half. And what was the rhetoric? What was the actual language or verbiage of that statement? It's eerily similar to what's going on right now.
Process. We're going to evaluate.
So I think they're well within their rights, and I'm sure there's legal terms if they were to remove themselves from Gregg Berhalter that they need to go through, and this is what you have to do. But this is eerily similar to that. So.
But normally, Herc.
Yes.
Every club, every federation goes through this.
Of course.
All the time. You kind of know what happens when results go bad and you are ready to, okay, we're going to fire him, but we know we got to pay him out. Hey, can I
ask you a question?
Yes.
You're a smart guy. And let's say you were running U.S. Soccer.
Okay.
Would you take this much time to say, we're standing with Gregg Berhalter?
Well, I think that's the point that Seb's making.
Yeah.
Normally you'd be like, hey, guys, look, it was a red card. It was this. He's our guy. He's going forward. Shut up. Let's go. Move on.
Right.
And
that's not happening.
And by dragging it, it leaves things open to interpretation. It leaves us every night to talk about
this toxicity between the team and the fans and what's going on.
Well, and how do you move on if there's still this dangling?
I also think they kind of want to minimize the negativity for right now to give themselves some time to say, hey, who are we going to actually announce that's going to be the interim coach? Yes, there's going to be change, but we are on it. We recognize it. We're hearing you. And that's why I feel like they're kind of giving themselves this little buffer. But to tell everyone, listen, we're behind the scenes and it's coming. Right. We're on it.
Do you think it's been a gauge as well to kind of see if it dies down?
Absolutely.
I think, yeah. Listen, here's my sense. I don't think there's anybody at the Federation that wants to get rid of Gregg Berhalter.
I agree.
Maybe there's some people who are starting to come over to the side that maybe he's not what we thought he was 9 months ago or whatever, a year and a half ago. But I think there are very few people at the Federation right now that want to get rid of him, and they're just trying to see if the pressure overwhelms them, if the pressure dies down, and every day that they buy is an opportunity for the American soccer, media landscape fandom to shut up and to be quiet. And if they do, then watch those people at the Federation who want to keep Gregg, and I think there are more than one or two of them, are going to win out. So, I know that there's a lot of times where we kind of are dismissive of fan influence or pressure. I don't know that there's ever been a situation in
But
American
these aren't
soccer
fans,
like
they're customers to them. They're clients.
That's true.
Consumers.
I mean, especially these supporter groups. I mean, some of them have maybe not official relationships, but they do official business with the
There's no
Federation.
reason for Matt Crocker to want to get rid of Gregg Berhalter. That's admitting he made a mistake.
Yeah.
Well,
He's got one more bullet.
Yeah, exactly.
But after that, he's got one more, and then it's Matt Crocker. He's the next one in line.